Manish Mehta, who covers the Jets for the New York Daily News, joins us now. All right, walk me through yesterday. When you first heard that something happened, where were you?
I was in a driving rainstorm, Dan, trying to get to practice. I actually heard it on the radio after Bowles came out and told reporters that Gino was going to miss, 6 to 10 weeks, and this fight had happened in the locker room about an hour or so earlier.
All right, and then you get there, and what did you find out?
Well, he fought over $600. You can debate the merits of whether Geno Smith should have paid IK the money when they got to training camp, because this is obviously stemming from an incident that happened in July when Geno could not attend IK's football camp, and IK wanted to be reimbursed for the airfare and the limo fee that he had paid for Geno. And my understanding, Dan, is that when camp started about a couple of weeks ago, Geno said, "I'll pay you the money, but if you know Geno Smith even a little bit, he's a little bit flighty. He's kind of an odd character. He probably didn't have that on the forefront of his mind, whereas the other guy was thinking, you owe me $600. It's been a couple weeks. Where is it?" And then things escalated, and obviously it shouldn't have gotten to the degree and the magnitude that it got to. So because of that, I share Darrell Revis's belief that both guys are at fault, even though nobody should sucker punch somebody else. But as Bowles said, it takes one person to throw a punch, but it takes two to tango. So I think both of these guys are culpable here.
All right, but Todd Bowles said this was a sucker punch here. Was it a sucker punch, or was this a discussion? Like, you don't announce you're going to hit somebody. If you're ready to fight, unless Geno Smith didn't think there's no way this guy is going to punch me in my locker room.
Yeah, I think there's semantics involved when you try to describe what's a sucker punch. I mean, some people view a sucker punch as, being blindsided. Others view it as, well, you're having a heated discussion, but at no point in your mind do you think this is going to escalate and become physical. So clearly Todd Bowles categorized it as a sucker punch, and he got a version from each person involved. He got a version from both of them together. So in his estimation, it wasn't warranted. Whether Geno was blindsided or not, that's up for debate. Ultimately, I think it's absurd to get in a fight with a teammate where it escalates that much. I even think it's that much more ridiculous when you're fighting with your starting quarterback, regardless of whether you think your quarterback is good or not.
Chris Carter said something yesterday where this is basically lack of leadership with Geno Smith, that he's not respected in the locker room. Is that fair?
No, I don't think that's fair. Now, do I think he's universally respected in the locker room? No, he's not. I can tell you that with 100% certainty, that there's a lot of people, not a lot, but there are people in the locker room who do have doubts about his leadership abilities and have doubts about his ability to play at a high level in this league, and that shouldn't come as a surprise based on his track record the last couple years. But I will also say that those people that doubt him were cautiously optimistic that he could turn the corner in this new offense and be a viable starter in this league. But you raise a good point. If somebody is universally respected in a locker room like an Aaron Rodgers or an Andrew Luck, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, this doesn't escalate to that level. Now, I do think that Geno Smith played a part in all of this, not the bigger part, but a part nonetheless. And it's easy to point the finger and say, well, he's not respecting the locker room, and that's why this happened. It only takes one person, Dan, to get in a fight with and alter your season or your career with the team. So I'm not sure it's fair to say that his lack of leadership is what led to this. I think this was more of a personal issue between the two guys.
Manish Mehta covers the Jets for the New York Daily News, joining us, Dan Patrick Show. Seton, if you'll play the reporters laughing. Manish, tell me, are you laughing here when Todd Bowles talks about the quarterbacking situation? This is how it sounded.
If the other guy's playing well and the boat's going right and there are no waves and everything's going and we're 4, 5, 6, 7 and 0, yeah, you're not coming back to start.
Okay. Are you laughing there?
No, I actually asked the question, and I was not laughing. I thought it was brutally honest, and it's a cutthroat league. It's a cutthroat business, and it is unfortunate that this happened, and maybe it wasn't all Geno Smith's fault, but you have to look at this objectively now. He doesn't have control of his fate, and that's one thing you could say about Geno Smith over these past 2 years. He had the full backing of the front office, and he had the control. It was his job to lose, even as recently as 24 hours ago. It was his job to lose. Now he's at the mercy of Ryan Fitzpatrick. And if Fitzpatrick plays well and the Jets are winning games, Geno Smith might not only be on the bench for 2015, he might not ever start again for this team, because if you presume that Ryan Fitzpatrick is your starter from start to finish in 2015, the Jets will look to draft a quarterback in 2016. It's not as if Geno Smith is going to be handed back the reins next year. So his career as a starter with this organization could have ended yesterday.
Final question here has to do with the depth chart here. You're not going to have Ryan Fitzpatrick and then have rookies backing him up in case something happens to Fitzpatrick, who has been known to get injured as well. Rex Grossman, Tyler Thigpen, Michael Vick, others. Who's going to be brought in to be the backup quarterback?
Well, it's Slim Pickens, and you named a few guys there. They're bringing in Grossman later this week to see how he checks out physically. I think Mike Florio just reported about 10 minutes ago that Mike Vick is not a part of the discussion here, and I was told yesterday that the Jets had not reached out to Mike Vick after they had reached out to Rex Grossman. So you got a pretty good indication at that point that Vick wasn't going to come back. Matt Flynn is another interesting name. He was recently released by the Patriots. I know he's dealing with a hamstring issue, so I don't know what his immediate availability is, but they just need a stopgap here, Dan, because you're right. Bryce Petty, he's not going to be the number 2 quarterback this season for this team. I think he's got a lot of talent physically. I think he's an extremely smart guy, but it's going to take him time to adapt to a pro-style offense coming from the system he did in Baylor. So he's more of a long-term project. They need a stopgap until Geno Smith comes back, whether that means week 4, 5, 6, 7. It depends on how quickly he heals. So none of these guys are going to blow you out of the water, but they got to bring in somebody because Bryce Petty isn't going to be ready by week 1.
Good job. I know you got a busy day today. Thank you, Manish.
Thanks, Dan. Take care.
All right, Manish Mehta covers the Jets, New York Daily News.